Welcome back to the channel, BZ Watchdog family. Basil here. Tonight, I'm crashing Hillsborough City Council with a little thing called accountability. You know that wild concept where transparency doesn't mean locking up internal affairs files in a pending litigation bunker and a redaction tech isn't treated like Area 51 level classified info? Stick around, because I'm about to drop the tea on how they denied Terry Dickman's body cam, only to discover the city already pays for Adobe Premiere. Spoiler alert, blurring a license plate isn't rocket science, but apparently it's department budget magic. So if you're over the political smoke and mirrors, smash that like button. You know you want to. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a council roast. Subscribe if you haven't already. Slide me some love via Cash App or PayPal. Links are in the description. Or become a channel member for just $2.99 a month. You'll get early access to every video, plus exclusive members-only body cam footage the city hoped you'd never see. Let's make transparency real and go viral.
Okay, at 6:03, we'll call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Hillsborough City Council to order. First item on the agenda is the invocation given by Pastor James Hoskins of the First Amendment of Hillsborough, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Father, we thank you for this evening and this time that we have. We just ask that you give this council wisdom tonight. We just pray that your presence is in this place, and we love you, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Let's face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda, your statements from persons wishing to address the council. We have one, that's Mr. Basil Zingari.
My favorite two people right there.
Now I want you guys to keep a good look at the body language and the facial expressions you're about to see during my speech. Watch these two. Good evening, Mayor Johnson, City Manager Henderson, and esteemed council members and citizens of Hillsborough. I'd like to start with some heartfelt applause for the transparency we've all been promised. Because nothing opens up government like hiding the Roseanne Lindemann internal affairs investigation behind a pending litigation smokescreen and shipping it off to the Attorney General so you can legally keep it under wraps. Bravo. Next up, the Terry Dickman body camera footage. You claim you can't release it because of a license plate privacy issue. Never mind that as of September 1, 2025, the law has already changed to allow recordings with license plates and not have to redact it or repress it. And yes, that's the same footage where officers escalated a citation into an arrest of a 65-year-old man with a pacemaker. But sure, let's pretend we lack the technological capabilities to blur out a license plate. Here's the kicker. The city pays for Adobe Premiere, the gold standard of video editing used by folks like me every day. Yet, when I tried to put redaction software on tonight's agenda, Mayor Johnson and City Manager Megan shut me down. They wouldn't even let me say two words about it. Not on the agenda, they said, laughing out loud, because accountability is so overrated. Redaction software costs roughly $900 a year, including support and training. That's about 0.018% of our police department's $5 million annual budget. Meanwhile, Whitney, just 9 officers, operates on an $800,000 a year budget. It's only about 17% of Hillsborough's, even though they're roughly 1/3 our size. So where exactly is Hillsborough's money going? Tony Kane's personal pocket? Exotic vacations. A secret squad of PR influencers peddling the illusion of public relations while our city streets, water lines, and sewers crumble. For months, City Manager Henderson has assured us we're a transparent city that holds our people accountable. Those sound bites are nice, but like fairy dust doesn't fix potholes or protect a man with a pacemaker from wrongful arrest. It's time for the lies to stop. Leadership, it's your move. Either step up to the mic and deliver on transparency, or step out to someone who values the truth and can take your seat. You work for us, the taxpayers. We fund the city. We deserve honest answers, not hollow promises. Thank you. Now let's put redaction software on next year's budget and prove that accountability isn't just another empty slogan. Thank you.
Moving along to the consent agenda, deliberate and act on the approval of minutes for the regular meeting on July 1st, 2025. Act on the approval of bills. Next item on the agenda here, deliberate on the city
Most of us have been here before, and so we know that this is the second four of our 8 goals from our strategic plan. Goal number 5 is build better infrastructure. As you know, that's one of our key challenges. We are getting close to completion on the street and infrastructure project. We are hopeful that it will largely wrap up next month. Now, there will probably be some little punch list items that extend after that, but we're hopeful that there will be paving in the middle of August. It would be great if it could start before school starts. That's certainly the goal, but given the weather that we've been experiencing, I think mid-August is probably a safer estimate. We are materially complete on the industrial water tower project, but we've been having real challenges with Texas Water Development Board getting that last draw paid for. So that's creating some cash flow issues, which is, never helpful. Okay, this is just to sort of visualize the relative progress against the different major infrastructure categories. We did finally hear back from Texas Water Development Board on Friday. We will not be getting any of the $30 million that we applied for because at this point the request has timed out, essentially. We do, however, have a request in for the full $50 million worth of work. The $30 million, that particular funding stream could only be used in areas that are residential. The need is actually greater than that. The $50 million request includes not only the residential, but also the downtown commercial area where the majority of the older pipes are. So it's a little bit of a gut punch to be knocked back to starting point, but it was probably 6 months ago that we put in that application for the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. My understanding is that generally by this point in the year they have identified the projects, or at least the list, not the final list, but they've got basically an investment plan that they propose. But so far we have not seen anything yet on the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. And the way that it works, if they publish the list and we're near the top, we think we'll probably get invited to submit a full application. But we were near the top and waiting to be invited to submit a full application that we've been waiting all this time on the previous ask. Now, again, my understanding is that since this funding stream is sort of a bigger component of what they do, it's a little bit more regimented and a little bit more predictable. So hopefully that will translate into moving things along a little bit more quickly and more predictably. Here's hoping. As you know, this is kind of where we are with streets. We had an agreement, kind of verbal agreement with the county to perform some chip seal on streets that our street crew had gotten ready to be surfaced. In back and forth, in part, no thanks to the weather that we've had, some touch-ups need to be done on those streets before they're going to be ready to seal, but that's kind of the process that we're in now. We looked at the street evaluation last time, kind of in more detail, so I'm going to kind of skip through it. And the Cliff Notes version is our streets are really, really bad. An estimated $55 to $65 million in water line replacements, as we know. Let me get back to, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not in this presentation, but there is an estimate of, I believe, about $300 million worth of street work. I mean, we'll just leave that number right there. $55 to $65 million in water line replacements. Let's see. Sewer, our process in the sewer system is to undergo the initial study. We had approved a scope of services and fee proposal. We do have a signed contract and survey is underway. And the process there, the wastewater collection system is divided into basins. And so each section sort of drains into a basin. And then from those basins, you've got a lift station and a force main that takes the sewage to the sewer treatment plant. So the goal of this study will be to evaluate the 3 basins that are in the worst shape and in the locations to collect the most water. So this will not be a citywide evaluation. That would be incredibly costly. This will be to do kind of the most priority stuff that if we fixed those things would have the greatest impact on the immediate surrounding areas in that basin, but also on the wastewater treatment plant that then has to treat the volume of all that water that gets there. Okay, goal number 6 is to deliver essential services. So one of the things that we have kind of in process right now is we'll be bringing you soon a scope of services and fee proposal for a facilities master plan. Not sure what that will cost, hoping that it will be under $50,000. The reason to do it and to do it now is to evaluate all of the facilities that the city currently owns and figure out which ones we can do without. If we can consolidate and make our operations more efficient in a smaller number of facilities, we may be able to divest ourselves of property that somebody else could do something good with and either lower our cost or create some income through the sale of surplus property. There are a number of city facilities that when it rains, water comes inside. You know, it's a long list of needs, but we can't do something about it until we assess it and figure out exactly what we're dealing with. And in the process of all of this other stuff, we need people who know what they're doing to go through all of these buildings and tell us, this, it makes sense to expand. This, you're gonna have to, in order for it to serve you well for another 20 years, you would have to do major work. It's not worth it. This is a good location, but a bad building. We need that information, and so we'll be coming back to you with that scope of services and fee proposal. Talked about street maintenance. This is the time when we need to get a lot of utility cuts done. You know, if it'll dry up and stay dry, we can make some progress there. Let's talk about public safety. So we are in the process of going through the departmental policies and personnel needs in advance of the budget. This fiscal year is going to be kind of it's going to be a lean one. And so we're going to be going through all of those departmental policies and the personnel situation to see what we can recommend in terms of both increasing effectiveness, but also being a little bit more efficient with our resources. And Assistant City Manager Tony Kane will be in charge of that process, and I'll be working closely alongside him. In the fire division, we are also going to be reviewing departmental policies and personnel needs in advance of the budget. On the fire side, I will be taking the lead on that. We have a pending investigation from the Texas Fire Commission. That investigation has not been concluded. We have a meeting with them next week on July 23rd. So we expect there will be a report that comes out of that, which we will share as soon as we receive it. We talked about water. We are still working through we have a new reporting tool that will allow customers to monitor their water use, and if there is a leak, to be able to identify it sooner so that it doesn't impact their bill, so that customers can see it on the customer side, like an app. We're in the process of figuring out how that works so that we can then tell customers how that works. I see Ignacio's nodding because it's so helpful with electric customers, yeah. We are also working with the developers on the system improvements coming alongside those new developments. We've got some repairs continuing at Wallace Park, and then we're continuing to work out, you know, those kinks with our new solid waste service provider. every month there are fewer. It's a big change after 25 years with the same provider. I skated through all of that fairly quickly. Any questions on any of that before I go on? Okay. All right. Business attraction. Still working our projects, Project Dispatch, Project Freeze Pop, Project Treasure Hunt. Retail Coach is still working with prospects. Looking at entrepreneurship and small business. The Main Street program is working really well. They've got a bunch of committees working on various things. And we have an intern specializing in development and real estate who's working closely with staff on the parking study. That's going to be a key part of the library project, is just understanding how all of that's going to work together. Looking at redevelopment of the outlet mall. Glazer Retail is still working with those 6 prospects. Now, of course, we're able to talk about some of those that have become public. We anticipate Panda Express to begin construction in mid-August. Chili's is going to start soon after that, beginning of September. Project Nosh, with which the council is familiar, but we're not yet able to share, they have signed all of their documents. So this is the one, one of the ones that we were kind of waiting on. They've signed everything. We anticipate that they're going to begin construction maybe early November. We do not have a timeline for Waffle House. As you guys know, mall demolition has begun. If you've been by, it's looking super different out there. Our staff is doing weekly calls still with the developer, and we are beginning to work on what the design is going to look like for the buildings that will remain. We're thinking something maybe like this. So we're keeping some buildings, as you know, we're keeping some buildings. Those buildings need to not look like a, 35-year-old, 40-year-old outlet mall. So the idea is give them a little bit of a facelift. And to give you kind of an idea of what this looks like now, this is the kind of the proposed next version of the mall. And let's see, yep. So I've got the font at the top kind of lined up with the pad sites at the bottom. So that's not the best, most helpful way of looking at it, but so you can see Project Nosh is the furthest to the north, and then that's a building that we don't necessarily have a tenant for yet. After that would be Chili's, then a question mark, then Panda Express, Project Joe, question, and Waffle House at the southernmost location. So the buildings that are staying are these buildings on the north side, and then we still anticipate some kind of, logistics use on the south side in 2 large buildings down there. Again, long-term plan is for the north side to be anchored by a big retailer of some kind, but I think we all have recognized that nobody super big is interested in Hillsborough until we get a little bit bigger ourselves. And rather than go with a permanent commitment to something that's kind of medium, we're better off doing the facelift, getting some tenants in there, and enjoying what we have for a few years while we absorb some of this anticipated development. Questions on any of this? Great. So goal number 8 is to enhance quality of life. We continue to enjoy our amazing library. Lots and lots going on. Summer reading program has pretty much wound down. We've got bids in hand for the work on the windows. Continuing to work on the expansion project. Justin and I sat down with some USDA rural development paperwork this morning. Parks and Rec, baseball, softball. We did host a state tournament over Independence Day weekend. Had some challenges with that because the weather has not been super helpful, and we've had some equipment issues, but we got it taken care of, and continue to kind of try to tee up a project at the Texas Theater. That can't be something that the city just pays for, go a few slides back and you know why, right? But what we're hoping is that we can inspire enough community involvement that we can bootstrap it. Because what the community has told us over and over again is that among their top priorities are entertainment. So if we can make it work, then we're going to try to make it work. Next step, we had Main Street Architects review everything. Next step is probably for a structural engineer to let us know that everything is good before we start messing with awnings and stuff like that. But we're trying to line up the dominoes in the correct order. Staff activities and events, we have several vacancies. We're holding most of those for now. There are a few key positions that we are continuing to try to fill, but given where we are budget-wise, some of them are going to just have to wait. Dave Pruitt, longtime fire department major, has announced his retirement, so he is off the job now, and his official last day is August the 2nd. We have added Courtney Phillips as administrative specialist over at Fire, and Ella Webb is the name of the intern that's been helping us with development and real estate stuff. We had fun in the park this last weekend. That was a success. The music that we all enjoy at the Yard downtown is on hiatus during the hot months. They'll kick back up again in September. And our major next downtown event is Autumn Fest, which will be in October. Okay, any questions for me? Oh, I'm so sorry. Back to public safety. Recognize the concern about the redaction software. We are happy to put that item on the agenda. The reason it's not on the agenda tonight is because we don't know what our current capabilities are. So we talked about a $900 a year solution. We also talked about the Premiere Pro, I think that's right, Adobe Premiere. Nobody at the police department knows how to use Adobe Premiere for video. We're trying to figure out if we can do that with the current video situation that we have. So we're going to figure that out first, but then we'll be back to council.
Next item on the agenda, hold a closed session under provisions of section 551.074 of the government code in regards to personnel, city manager evaluation.
All right, fam. Let's do a quick hot take recap before we roll into bonus content. That's right, bonus content. Because apparently the only time Hillsboro's mayor and city manager consider redaction software is after I personally shoved it down their throats. Yup, they straight up refused to let me add the by redaction tech to the agenda, then turned around and told the Attorney General, oops, we don't have the tech. Meanwhile, they've got an Adobe Premiere subscription, aka the gold standard video editor that every YouTuber, TikToker, and podcaster uses to blur faces and license plates. So yes, spoiler alert, blurring a license plate isn't rocket science, it's just budget magic. I've been screaming at the top of my lungs for real transparency and accountability, not just PR buzzwords to flash on a PowerPoint slide. But what do we get? The Roseanne Lindemann internal affairs investigation locked away in litigation limbo, and Terry Dickman's body cam footage ghosted like the one group chat you never got an invite to. No redactions, no releases, no accountability, just more excuses. But hey, don't worry. I've got bonus footage of my post-meeting chat with Tony Kane and Clay Sparks. Yes, the dynamic duo who run the department. You'll see me politely. Okay, maybe not so politely. Grill them on why they can enjoy the perks of Adobe Premiere but can't share legally required video. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for that spicy Q&A. Now, if you're vibing with this dose of civic tea, you know the drill. Smash the like button, show you care about accountability, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another council roast or, actual news. Consider becoming a channel member for just $2.99 a month. You get early access, members-only body cam drops, and my eternal gratitude. Or slide a tip my way via PayPal or Cash App. Links are below in the description to keep the investigation fires burning. So kick back, enjoy the bonus footage, grab some popcorn, and let me know in the comments what you think of their we can't redact logic. Spoiler, it's not great. I'll catch you on the next video or the next council roast. Until then, stay transparent, stay accountable, and keep the tea brewing. Tony, where were we at with that internal affairs complaint? Where are we at with the internal affairs complaint on Dominique Anderson and Gardner and about the Terry Dickman situation? The internal part, I know she's got another agency, but what about internally?
We're starting with that myself.
Because I know we got to have at least one in the department, but we have another outside one for a second non-biased decision. So I just wanted to see what we're doing with that. Okay, so we have a ETA or time frame? Or?
They said it wouldn't take too long. They want to make sure they have the time to do it thoroughly.
You ain't got to be scared of me. You know we can talk, right? Open communication.
I'm all for that.
You know, I've even backed off on coming after you on like for your job.
Open communication. That's our job.
We've got a lot of community support and since all this.
I just want some transparency, man.
Hey.
I just don't feel like I've been getting it. I'm never going to hurt any one of your officers. Unless somebody puts their hands on me without lawful reason to. That's the only way I'm ever going to defend myself. So I don't like to hurt anybody. I don't want to touch any. I'm a real passive person. So regardless if I'm hooping and hollering and screaming, it's all for sure.
Make things better.
Like with Linda, I'm sure you saw that video or something about me yelling at her on the side of the road. I wasn't yelling. That was just me asking a question because I was on the other side of the highway. I don't want to be up on her. You know, I want to make sure she's got her space because I'm not trying to interfere with her. But again, speech is an interference, especially when it's across the highway. So my only question is, you know, where'd she get her law degree? That's the only thing the only thing I want to know. But this one, I'm a little concerned. She's not your goddaughter, niece or anything, is she? It's just the vibe. Just the vibe. I heard she was a bridesmaid at your wedding. So that's what I heard. If it's true or false, I mean, you tell me if it's true or not. Or you tell me go fly a kite. I mean, you tell me to fly a kite, I ain't mad at you. I've been called worse. I've been told worse. When I'm with my camera, I'm a journalist. I got to ask the questions. Like when I was asking you about the K9 the other day. Did you even laugh? I thought I saw a little smirk in your face. But you saw how Brian was laughing running away. Brian's a champ. He took it like a sport. Hey, what's going on, man? I'd say welcome back from out speaking, but now you're up there. Well, I got to interrupt. I got to talk to you for a second, Clay. I have a question. It's just a question from all your years of law enforcement experience. I'm sure you've conducted hundreds or thousands of traffic stops over the course of your career. So I have a question. If an officer pulls somebody over and cites somebody for insurance, no insurance, which I'm sure through a license plate reader or probable cause, or pulls them over for whatever reason, they don't have insurance and they get cited, no big deal. How does somebody get cited for disorderly conduct for language? Did they piss off a cop and the cop didn't like their language? That's contempt of cop, that's personal feelings.
It depends on circumstance.
You want to explain the last 30 days, Anderson, how that person got a disorderly conduct? Oh, contempt of cop. I know it. That's the only reason you'd write somebody a disorderly conduct for language. I've said some F-bombs and got arrested for disorderly conduct myself and got out of it. So language, disorderly conduct, 42.01, subsection A1. I know that statute very well. So I'm going to be looking into those records. Got to stop arresting and citing people, man. By the way, you're down 60% on your tickets this month. 60%. Just saying. Just saying.
BZ Watchdog.